Hello and welcome back to Tracy D Tips, where we share knowledge and learn and grow together. Today's topic is on time management, and it's something called the Eisenhower matrix. Eisenhower, wasn't that a president or something? That's right, President Dwight Eisenhower. And he said two kinds of problems, the urgent and important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent. From this quote, the major takeaway is that there are four main categories of how we can organize our tasks and prioritize our time. First are things that are urgent and important. The second are things that are urgent but not necessarily important, are important but not urgent. The last, not urgent and not important. Let's take a look, shall we? So the do now are the things that are both urgent and important. We schedule the things that are important but not urgent. And the things that are not important but urgent, we try to delegate those as much as possible. And the things that we do not think are important or urgent, we try to delete those if possible. Now the first box of do now are things that are emergency. We need to do this now. The child needs to be picked up from school, or a phone call comes through and it is regarding a task for a deadline that is today. These are the things that must be done right now. The good news about important things is that we typically have some type of warning or time, and we can schedule those things in. They're not things that have to be done right now, but we don't want to forget about them. So we go ahead and put them in our calendar, and we remind ourselves to come back to it. One of my favorite features to utilize in my email specifically is the snooze button. I love to snooze emails so that it comes back to me in a week or 2 weeks, whenever that deadline is approaching. So dealing with the things that are urgent but not necessarily important is the biggest challenge for me anyway. It's trying to figure out what are things that I can ask other people to help me with, whether it's in my house or at work, and how can I share some of these responsibilities so I don't run around just putting out fires all the time. And the last category is to delete, but I like to refer to it as moderation, because these are things like social media or watching TV. And personally, I think sometimes we do need to take a break from work, from household things, and sometimes Netflix binge watching can be just what we need to get through the weekend. And so personally, I like to just say that's in moderation, not necessarily to delete it as other people might recommend. However, something that I've done to delete some things that are not important and not urgent in my life are to take email off of my phone, turn off notifications on any apps that I don't necessarily need to know what's going on right away, to basically free my mind from anything that I don't need to see on a regular basis. For example, do I really need a newsletter from CVS or Nike or a random store every single day? You can go in and change those settings so that you can stop receiving those newsletters or just go down to once a week. And so these are ways you can free up space in your brain and your time so that you're not constantly dealing with things that aren't really necessary to read or see on a regular basis. So you might be asking yourself, how often should I think about my tasks and prioritize in this way? And the answer is you should prioritize as often as possible. And this is just one method, the Eisenhower matrix or the decision matrix. You don't have to use this. It's just a way of kind of categorizing your thoughts and your tasks and putting them down into organizational boxes that you can then utilize. That just gives you a framework from what to complete first all the way down to the things that can be done last when you're planning your time in your calendar. Now, I wrote a blog post about this specifically, so you can go ahead and view that visual example that I created on the blog post, as well as link to some other articles that are related to managing your time, setting up email, setting up your calendar to be more helpful and successful for you as you're being more productive in your life. So essentially, that's just a quick overview of one method of prioritizing your time and your tasks that you can utilize. I hope it's helpful. Drop a comment below if you've ever used this method or if you have another time management method that you prefer. At the end of the day, prioritization is key, right? We can't do everything that we want to do. So what has to get done first? As always, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so yet, and I will see you next time.